All right, everybody, welcome back to round number 6 of our Winter Invitational. I'm going to give a fine welcome back to my co-commentator for today, Steven. How's it going, Steven?
Not too bad. How about you?
We're going. It's going, you know. So here we have the first round of the quarterfinals. This is Wilson versus Jesse. Wilson is playing Mono Red Stompy or Mono Red Initiative for today. And if you haven't seen before, Jesse is on Temur Delver. We got a shot of their opening hands, and looks like Jesse is going to take an instant mulligan. I believe that Jesse is the higher seed, or is it Wilson?
I believe Wilson's the higher seed because we both drew in the top eight. Eight.
Okay, so Wilson most likely going first, and we're gonna see a look at Jesse's opener and mulling to 6. So here we are starting. Wilson is on the play. He's going to start off with a mountain, pass to Jesse. Jesse going to start off with a volcanic island and a Dragon's Rage channeler. So if you're Wilson and you're not starting off with a Chalice of the Void, what is like the strategy that he wants to be doing or employing against like a Temur Delver list?
He pretty much wants to power out like what he's doing here. Just trying to do 2 plays a turn. So either trying to run like another hate piece, like a Trinisphere, or again like this sticker goblin, and then so he can try to power out like a caves or like maybe like a 5-drop if he has one. I believe in this deck he was also running like the 4-mana Chandra, Torch of Defiance. So that was, and then I believe he probably slowed down the turn 1 so he doesn't have to go through like a. Oh no, yeah. I was thinking he might have to go through days, but he was on a play, so he. I guess there was just no valid turn 1 play. He probably just drew the sticker goblin on the first turn.
I mean, it kind of works out for him, right? Because it gives him that second turn to get the 2 mana, just to get him to 3 mana to play the sticker goblin, and then he also gets to play around the days with the Lotus Petal.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm assuming that if you're looking from Jesse's perspective, you obviously going into this don't know or shouldn't know what your opponent is playing, and you want to be keeping counter spells up against a deck like Stompy.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think usually what happens is, I guess, sort of on a random opponent, you would just want to keep a hand with interaction, right? So maybe like some like lightning bolts and ponders and a creature, which I think is fairly valid, right? It's only when you know the matchup that you want to start mulling into like free interaction like Dazes and Forces.
Yeah. Oh, and I guess Lightning Bolt is a pretty valid answer because you don't have to worry about the Seasoned Engineer in a mono red list.
Yeah, exactly. And then so as soon as Jesse gets Delirium, then she can start trading with the trading initiative with the the DRC, the Dragon's Rage channeler, right? So
we did see that there was a Daze in Jesse's hand. Was it just not worth it to try to make Wilson crack the Lotus Petal to pay the 1 extra mana? Because you are setting yourself back on the 1 land, right?
Yeah, and you know that the first initiative also fetches a basic land, so you're going to be really behind, right? And I just don't think it's worth it.
All right,
and right now I believe like because of the board position, it's on the onus for Jesse to actually present more threats because it's really hard to take initiative unless you have like evasion, right? And then so Wilson probably wants to like either start casting removal spells or just casting more threats like that.
Yeah, so we just see Wilson draw for his turn. He drew a Chalice of the Void, but decides to play a Broadside Bombardiers instead. Jesse, on the previous turn, developing the board, like you were saying, and played a Delver of Secrets. Jesse's going to respond to the Broadside Bombardiers by casting a Daze, going to trigger Surveil, and dumping a second Daze off the top into the graveyard.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that's just to try to get Delirium as fast as possible.
Oh no, there's a second Daze, so this actually counters the Broadside, and she dumps a Questing Druid into the graveyard. So that does
give Delirium. Yes. Yeah. So it is fairly valid, but I'm surprised Wilson did not play the mountain the basic that he got from initiative. Hmm. Oh well.
I mean, maybe he just wasn't expecting like double days and he thought the
Yeah.
Lotus Petal was good enough. But Wilson going to go into combat and swing in with the Sticker Goblin and the Caves of Chaos Adventurer. Going to exile a Chrome Mox off the top and going to cast it. And here comes Chalice of the Void for 1.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And flips a lightning bolt, of course.
She did ponder, right? I think
Yeah,
we're
yes.
still in the ponder
no.
cards.
No, but she surveilled twice.
Ah, yes. Okay. True. So blind flips. She's going to attack, brings Wilson down to 17, and then takes the initiative and just going to shuffle the library because the Temur Delver list doesn't really play basics.
Yeah.
So we're going to see what happens next.
Yeah. I'm having a hard time seeing Wilson lose this one. Like the board seems very, very advantageous right now. But well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, this Chalice of the Void, if Jesse can't find an answer, is just going to cancel out a lot of Jesse's plays.
Yeah, and I believe pre-board there shouldn't be any artifact removal, right?
No, I don't believe so. They might run the Brazen Borrower still.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so hopefully we get a life total update here, but I believe Wilson should be at 4. Or no, Jesse should be at 4. She took 4 from the Sticker Goblin, and then she took another 5 from Trap Room when Wilson took the initiative back. So Jesse should not be at 13. She should be at 4. And Wilson should be at 17.
17, yeah.
So Jesse going to slam down a Murktide here.
Yes. And okay, yeah, that's legit. A legit threat.
It is. Because now it puts a stop to the Sticker Goblin, but Wilson going to draw an extra card off initiative, and next turn, Jesse can't swing, so she needs to be on defense here. So Wilson's just going to be able to complete the Undercity here on his turn.
Unless she can deploy another Murktide and then swing and then deploy another Murktide, because Wilson might be on a 2-turn clock, right? Almost. Is that an 8/8? So okay, so it's not a 2-turn clock because he would need to be at 16 life for that. So yeah, would have to play defense for a while. But I think this is okay. I mean, that's what Jesse wants, is stall the game out to and hope that Wilson kind of draws bricks.
Yeah. So we see Jesse just playing a Scalding Tarn, which is a mountain due to this Magus of the Moon, and just passing the turn. Wilson going to go to his upkeep, trigger the initiative, and go into this last room, which is Throne of the Dead King, I think is what it's called.
Yeah, it's reveal top 10 of your library, and then you choose a creature, and then that creature gets +3/+1/+1 counters and gains hexproof until their next turn.
Yeah, until your next turn. So he's going to select a Fury, which is a pretty good target for this or a pretty good choice for this ability.
Yeah.
So it looks like he's just going to shove all of the damage into the Murktide region because he can't really target anything else efficiently. But yeah, I don't see Wilson losing from this position at this point anymore. He's going to draw for his turn. And going to go straight into combat. Swinging with the Sticker Goblin and the Magus of the Moon. Jesse going to cast the quest side of Questing Druid.
Yep.
And just scoop them up.
There we go. Yep. Okay.
All right. So why don't we talk about sideboard strategy? I think because Jesse's down a game.
Yeah. So she'll be on the play. I know from what Wilson told me about this match, she's going to be sideboarding in a ton of removal and then boarding out pretty much all the counter spells. And then she has a lot of anti-artifact cards as well. So the chalices aren't going to be as impactful in post-board games.
I mean, it's also not going to be as impactful. Like the way I always view Chalice is, if you're on the draw, it's not as good as it would normally be, right? But if you're accounting for the opponent also boarding in all of their artifact hate, because Chalice shuts down decks or Delver decks at least.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to be expecting to remove chalices. So if you take them out, a lot of their board might not.
Well,
do
I
much.
mean, they still have to. I mean, from my perspective, they still need to draw into the. They still need to draw into the answers. So if they don't have the answers right away, and they kept a handful of like brainstorms and ponders trying to look for it, and then you go chalice on one anyways, then you're still hosing like half their deck, right? Or at least a third of their deck. So I still think it's worth it. And I mean, as a non-blue player, you just need to make them have it.
Yeah. So we saw Wilson board in, was it a couple of Fiery Confluences and then a couple of Dead and Gones.
Yeah.
And then I think Jessie, on her side, she boarded out all of the Questing Druids.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't like the Questing Druids too much. It's really like the 1/1s really the creature side is really slow, and then the finding stuff is also really slow. The thing I do like about the Questing Druid is that it's not a one mana card. So if a Chalice on one does come down, then I find that it's a lot better to ponder, because at least you can still look for your stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, on top of that too is like if you're planning to, it's I kind of see it like a Dragon's Reach Channeler as well. Like Dragon's Reach Channeler will help you go through your deck to find an answer for the Chalice, whereas the Questing Druid will still grow. You're still casting the cards. Those cards will get countered, but it becomes like it still becomes a credible threat.
Oh yeah, and I mean the spell side is relevant too, right? Because the spell side is also 2 mana, so you're still looking through cards with the spell side, through a Chalice.
Yeah, I guess the argument is like, what threat are you going to be cutting? Like, you don't want to be cutting your Murktides or your top end. You don't want to be cutting Delver because you can still pitch it to Force of Will, and you definitely don't want to be cutting your DSHs because it helps you grind through your deck to find your answers.
Yeah, I mean one approach that I usually take whenever I play like a combo deck, and then when I'm boarding into stuff, is that I usually cut ponders, because casting ponder is what if you're casting ponder trying to find your business, then you rather just cut the ponder and get your business that way, right? And then also that way, like, you have less 1-drops to be affected by the Chalice. But cutting ponders also means that you're going down on blue sources, so it makes your Force of Wills less effective. Mm-hmm. So it's sideboarding stuff.
Yeah. So we did see that Wilson did keep some number of chalices in. I mean, I think he kept them all in.
Yeah.
But very strong 7 from Wilson, no?
I don't is that a Caves? Or is that Bombardier? I believe it's a Sticker Goblin and a Bombardier. Yeah. So we'll see. Yeah, I didn't see if it has any acceleration. Okay.
Yeah. So Jesse keeping 6.
Mm-hmm.
Going to Force of Will the Chalice, pitching the Murktide Regent, brings her down to 19. All right, down comes a Flooded Strand and passes turn. Wilson going to draw.
Okay, yeah, this is the situation that you want to try to avoid when you're playing like a Stompy type deck, which is this, where it's like you're just down on 1 land, and then if the Sticker Goblin like dies or gets countered somehow, then now you're set back. Like if you don't have another soul land, you've pretty much given like your opponent like 2 time walks, right? Because your spells start at 3 mana.
Yeah, I mean, Wilson did have the upside of having 2 City of Traders and the Mountain in hand. Like, it's not exactly where you want to be, because you did have to sacrifice a land and put yourself back that 2 mana. But he did top deck the Ancient Tombs, so
yeah,
he is going. I think we are going to see a Broadside Bombardiers come down.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Jesse going to Hydroblast counter the Broadside.
Yeah.
So it looks like Jesse decided to just keep a very control heavy hand here.
I mean, this is fine for Jesse, because if we're talking about playing off the top of their decks, Jesse has the advantage, right? Because they're a Brainstorm Ponder deck.
Yes. Yeah.
And then Wilson's also playing a deck with like half the deck's mana sources. It's like 26 lands plus Crow Mox plus Lotus Petal and plus Simian Spirit Guy, like over half the mana sources, right? So, and then she just top decked the Murktide Region. So I think this is probably over.
Oh, but Wilson does have his answers of his own. There's
Okay.
a Dead Gone, so he's just going to send the Murktide Regent back to Jesse's hand.
Yeah, but then like it's just going to come down in like another couple turns, right? Like that's what this deck does.
Yes.
It churns through like if they can chain together a whole bunch of like cantrips, like it's just going to come down in like a couple turns. So it's just delaying the inevitable.
Yeah, so Jesse, I think we both agree that she's in the more advantaged position, but here's Wilson tapping for 5 mana, bringing himself down to 16, exiling a Simian Spirit Guide, gonna hard cast a Fury.
Ooh. Fury for no value. Tough.
Downside of Fury is that it is a 3/3, so I'm pretty sure this is a Lightning Bolt in Jesse's hand.
Yeah.
Clear out that Fury. Wilson not finding a way to stick a threat onto the board. Jesse has all the time in the world that she needs. Down comes a Delver off of the top, and Wilson going to draw for his turn.
Yeah.
Is that another Fury that he top decked?
Probably doesn't have another red source though. The way he played it last turn.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it's I mean, you're gonna have to wait no matter what. I don't think you can afford a 2-for-1 yourself.
Yeah, I'm just not sure if that's like the Fury that he actually drew, or if it was something else. Because a lot of those cards, the artwork kind of looks the same, and it's hard to kind of discern which one.
Yeah,
which one it is.
and he full art. He's full arted everything. So it's all the alternate art of cards, and the art's hard to recognize.
Yeah. Okay. So Jesse slams down a Dragon's Rage Chandler and then attacks with the Delver, brings Wilson down to 15. Passes a turn. Wilson going to draw, and he drew a Caves of Chaos Adventure off the top, and going to slam it onto the board. Try to get initiative into the game.
It's probably too late though, because Jesse already has 2 creatures, so she'll just steal back the initiative next turn.
I mean, it could be not bad, because if the initiative actually sticks and Wilson is able to get a second red source and there is the Fury in the hand, it could be not bad. But Jesse not going to let that happen. Going to Force of Will, excelling a second Murktide Regent, goes into handless mode. Or, sorry, what's the...
Hellbent?
Hellbent? Yes, Hellbent. There we go.
Oh, and here we go. Both players going Hell. Okay, yeah, they're clearing out the board. All right.
Yeah, so Wilson going to clear up the board with a Fury, exiling a Fiery Confluence, has 1 card left in hand. Jesse ripping another Murktide Regent.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Okay. Wilson has another Dead and Gone.
Yeah. This is a pretty close match. And here we go. Gonna start chaining the cantrips.
Yeah, so we see a Mishra's Bauble, Lightning Bolt, and a Daze on top. We're going to see how Jesse stacks this. I assume that Mishra's Bauble is going to be on the top just because it gives like 1 card deeper into the deck.
I'm just not sure if you want to keep Daze, or like the Lightning Bolt's okay, but the Daze I think right now maybe not the greatest.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like Wilson's he's stuck on colored mana, not colorless. Yeah. So I feel like he can cast everything, and so it's going to be hard to Daze. But
so Jesse ended up just picking up the Bauble off of the Ponder and casting it. Looks at the top of Wilson's deck. Wilson revealed the Simian Spirit Guide that he just played for his turn. We are still seeing what Jesse drew. It is a Daze. She put the Daze second.
Okay. Ooh. Okay. Yeah. This. I mean, she probably realized that Wilson wants a threat, right? So might as well let him pay 2 life, and then it's Simian Spirit Guide's gonna get bolted.
Yeah, and I mean, she did draw like an answer to the Simian Spirit Guide, but I don't see her. She could be firing it off just to get a spell into the graveyard, right?
Yeah, exactly, and then just to feed the Murktide, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Right, so we don't know what is in Wilson's hand at the moment, but
yeah.
We're gonna see a Murktide Regent come down.
There's only I believe he only boarded in 2 Dead Gods, right? And he's used both of them already. So this is gonna be tough to get rid of.
Does this version of the deck not play any type of like Pyroblast?
I don't think. Oh, I don't quite remember.
I would assume that most would.
I remember that we discussed it, but then the thing is that like when you're playing with Chalice on 1s, I don't think you want to board in Pyroblasts. Because
true, yes.
Yeah. And I find that like Pyroblast, like it just doesn't, I mean, it's obviously a great card, but I just don't feel like it does enough. Like, because I like trading 1 for 1 and then not having anything on board is just like,
Yeah.
it feels like it's not good enough, right? Like it feels odd to say that, but that's unfortunately how it is. I think with the way Legacy is right now, I think you're forced to play Blast because Murktide is such a crazy threat, right? Like you can deal with everything other than Murktide.
Yeah.
So, and obviously Dead Gone is just not cutting it, right? So.
Yeah. So we see Wilson just scooping it up here. I think he just couldn't deal with the Murktide region. The last play that he did was Fable of the Mirror Breaker, and he was hoping to get into or discard 2 cards to find like either an answer or another threat that Jesse couldn't deal with.
Mm-hmm.
But he ended up just drawing like a Magus of the Moon and another Chrome Mox. So not gonna cut it. Was really struggling to get just a second red mana source other than like Simian Spirit Guides and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, there could have been a different way you could have started that game. Like, I think when you see Delver go like land go, it might be good. It might be okay to go land go yourself, and then next turn, like start going like then next turn cast a Chalice, so your daze proof, and then like so because when there's no threat, like when they're not presenting a turn 1 threat, I think it's okay to go slower.
Yes, yeah. So we see Wilson did a quick swap. Jesse, I think her deck is unchanged, but Wilson took out a Fiery Confluence and brought in another Magus of the Moon. I think it was the reverse. Did you get a look at it?
Sorry, I wasn't paying attention to that one. Sorry.
No problem.
But personally, I don't like mages against Delver to begin with because they have lightning bolts.
I mean, yeah, they have bolts. And again, it's also Temur too. If Jesse did leave in the druids, then the quest side is able to dig for an answer to the Magus.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like I mean, we did discuss this Wilson and I after tournament, and he wishes that he had actual blood moons instead of mages, just because he's just like it just gets lightning bolted, right? Or it just gets like there's so much more obviously Blue Blast gonna handle either of them, but then there's just more Unholy Heats and more lightning bolts to take care of mages, right?
So what do you think of this hand here? He has 2 Shatter Skull Smashings, 2 Ancient Tombs, 1 Sticker Goblin, 1 Magus of the Moon, and I think a Lotus Petal.
Yeah, this I feel is fairly weak.
Yeah,
just because
no big play, right?
Well, I mean, obviously a big play. Like if it was a Blood Moon, I do it for sure.
Yes.
Like if it wasn't Blood Moon stuff mages, like I would have no regrets keeping that. But like I said before, the mages is just too vulnerable in this deck, right? Like you can see the Unholy Heat is just like Jesse's hand ready for the mages of the moon, right? It doesn't even matter what land she plays. Like all her lands are going to be back as soon as the mages dies. So
she's really struggling here. She's debating between the Delver and the Wasteland.
Yeah, I mean. Yeah, we'll see.
All right, so she decides to bottom the Delver, keep the second Wasteland. Here's Wilson starting off with Ancient Tomb into Sticker Goblin, bringing himself down to 18, slamming Magus of the Moon on turn number 1. Jessie go to draw for her turn.
Yeah. Oh, to draw for? Is that Brainstorm though?
I think it is a Brainstorm, yeah.
Yeah.
So she's completely okay with this, right?
Yeah. She has removal, and I believe I saw Delver in opening hand as well, plus like another Wasteland. Yeah, like again, she's just gonna start blasting. She's gonna kill the mages at the end of her turn, and then Wasteland the Ancient Tomb, and then play a Delver, right? And then she's gonna be totally okay.
Yeah. So Wilson gonna play the Shatter Skull on the land side. It is gonna come in untapped because it is a regular mountain.
Yeah. Yeah, no need to pay life, but this is going to be painful.
Yeah, so Jessie, at the end of Wilson's turn, going to finish off the Magus with the Unholy Heat, just as you said. And she's going to draw for her turn. And we're most likely going to see...
I believe I saw that she has Volcanic and a Delver, right? So it's just slam it down and then Wasteland the Ancient Tomb. And then maybe you'll mana screw Wilson that way.
Yeah, so I know typically you want to play your weaker threat out first. We know that Jessie has, I think there's 2 Dragon's Rage Channelers now, but she had Dragon's Rage Channeler and Delver. Like, against the mono red Stompy list, do you not want to run the DRC first?
I mean, personally, I don't think it matters. Like, I would yeah. I mean, I think in general, you want to run the DRC out first, just because if it stays alive, then you can start surveilling, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But they're both pretty legit threats, like in this matchup, so.
Yeah, so we're gonna see Wilson just deal with the Dragon's Rage Channeler that Jesse put out and then pass to her, and then Jesse going to Wasteland the Ancient Tomb back against Wilson and then slam a Dragon's Rage Channeler. Now Wilson going to draw for his turn.
Yeah.
Looks like he is checking out to see how Delirium is looking, and I think she's one
off.
Off. Yeah, she's missing Sorcery.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so going straight into combat, swinging brings Jesse down to 12. Jesse gonna draw for her turn. Finds a Force of Will. And,
there's a meltdown as well. Okay, yeah, like she's ready. Yeah, she's ready.
Down comes a second Dragon's Rage Channeler, but no land for turn.
I think that's okay. I mean, like, there's no Wastelands in Wilson's deck. And, again, Mages of the Moon, who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah. And plus, there's a Force in the blue card, right? So anything devastating, like, it'll just get forced. Like, I think she's in a really solid position right now.
Yeah, and then she's like, even like, I know it's not the greatest because you want to maximize the cards that you're using, but she really wants to turn Delirium on. She can't just melt down for 0, get it into the graveyard. She gets double surveil triggers, and she's off to the races.
Yeah, exactly. And then that's gonna be a swing for 6, right? So like, I mean,
turn clock.
Yeah, I mean, right now I would even force anything that comes down because you get double surveil, right?
Yeah.
So
Wilson goes straight into combat, chips away at Jesse's life, brings her down to 10, goes to the second main phase, is now in the tank. It is really hard for us to see from this view what is exactly in his hand. We do know that he has another Shattered Skull Smashing.
Yeah.
But
it's
and another Ancient Tomb, right? Or did he go through both already?
No, he went through both. There's 2 Wastelands of them, but it's really hard to use Shattered Skull like Smashing as an actual spell right now. Like, it requires so much mana.
Yeah, I think that is a Chrome Mox as well, but he's just going to pass. Jesse going to untap and draw. I wonder what she found. Is it another Delver?
Delver? Yeah, it's a Delver. I think it's fine just to slam the Delver right now.
We're going to see Meltdown.
Oh, okay, yeah.
All right.
That's fine. That's fine too. Yeah, and start the racing, right?
Yeah, I think that was a Scalding Tarn off of the top. I'm not sure if it was a Scalding Tarn, but I'm pretty sure it is a land. It is a Scalding Tarn.
Yeah.
I think that was a Polluted Delta as well.
Yeah, I mean, her hand's like pretty stacked. Like, there's Brainstorm, there's Force, and there's Delver, right? So she's gonna force the next thing that comes down, and now it's the race is coming down, right?
Yes.
So she could. So the best play is probably to save to pitch the Delver to the Force, because there's no need for another attacker, and then the Brainstorm can find whatever gas they need, or she needs. Yeah.
Yeah. So Wilson going to start off with a Chrome Mox, exiling Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Looks like he has a play in mind, but he is hesitant.
Yeah, now that they're both 3/3s, like, Fury is not good enough anymore. Well, I mean, still good, but it's a 1-for-1, right? And yeah. I
wonder what could be in his hand, because he is contemplating on whether or not to bring in this Shatter Skull on the land side. So I'm wondering what would be 3 mana or 4 mana. I guess like that's the majority of his cards.
Yeah, it's got to be another 4-drop. So it's probably Caves of Venture. But again, Caves are just not good enough because it only, quote unquote, only makes 1 body.
Yeah, I mean, he could be thinking about whether or not he wants to play this as a land just to like play around Days.
Sure. Yeah, and we can pay 3 life.
It is a broadside
Bombardier. Okay.
Yeah, no matter what, it's gonna get forced.
Yes, yeah. Like I said before, like, it just doesn't matter what he plays, it's just gonna get forced, right? So
yeah, so this force is gonna cause 2 surveil triggers. Jesse's gonna leave it on top. She exiles the Delver of Secrets, makes it tied to 9/9, and then Wilson's going to smack her for 2 damage, bringing her down to 7. Jesse gonna return the favor by drawing the card or drawing her for her turn, and then smacking for 6. Passes the turn back to Wilson. Wilson gonna draw the last card. Can he deal?
I don't think there's any. No, I don't think
No,
there's anything else.
that is game over. So Jesse's
Wow, and another Hydroblast. Another Hydroblast in hand. That's brutal. That was brutal. Yeah.
yeah. So we just got to see the best plays out of or the best piloting out of Jesse, eh?
Yeah, but I mean, the opening hand from Wilson was also quite weak.
Yeah.
Like with the mages, like after the game we were discussing this, and he was saying that he should have mulliganed that hand because he knew that there was he should have known that there was going to be like 1 mana removal spell.
Yeah.
Right. There's going to be tons of them. Like there's no way Jesse's going to be cutting lightning bolts, right? Because she needs to deal with like caves of Chaos Adventure and all that, and all this other nonsense, right? So
yeah. So that'll do it for round number 6, the first match of the top 8, and we will see you guys for round number 7.